Hey guys, Marsingan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and so we are continuing on the Cooler Rampage here with the Omega Red Zone. I realised I didn't actually do a video of beating this event in 7 turns, so I decided to take the Cooler team up against the event and see how we would get on. So for this run, we are running the double STR LR Cooler leads, because obviously that allows us to run units like Garlic Jr. and Janemba, who are on the team to provide support. Because I don't know which order they're going to go up in, but I have a no item run versus Red Zone Broly with the Metal Cooler team as well. But that team is obviously built to be a little bit more defensive based, whereas this unit, you know, we're using units like Garlic Jr., right? He's on the team for the support. The whole point is to kind of like juice up the other units on the team so that they can do more damage, so that we can win within the 7 turns. Because I've seen people struggle with the 7-turn mission on this one and the one for Broly as well. I think Broly you can do in 8 turns. A lot of it can be down to RNG. Like even some of the best units in the game, if they're not getting their additional supers, they're not getting crits, all that kind of stuff, then obviously you can still struggle. Because this team will have no issue. Like, you could make some changes. Obviously, like, the weak link defensively is definitely Garlic Jr. But you could make some changes to this team, and it would be almost like a free win, I guess. But you just wouldn't do it in the 7 turns, right? So that's where you've got to kind of mix up the strategy a little bit and change up the team so that it is actually possible to do in 7 turns. So turns like this obviously don't help, where we couldn't get any good orbs for the Tech Janemba, so we couldn't get the support passive for him. Obviously I put Metal Cooler in slot 1 so you can get hit a bunch and get built up. Over 7 million attack stat he is here, linked up with LR Metal Cooler, and no support on the rotation because we didn't get enough orbs for Janemba. So I remember like when his EZA first came out and people thought he looked underwhelming, and then we saw him in game and it was like, oh, he's actually pretty good, and this is on a 170 lead, and now here he is actually on, like, actually no, this team is still him on a 170. I'm thinking about the other runs. Yeah, if you use him on the Metal Cooler team and he's on a 200% lead, he looks even better. So that over 7 million attack stat with no support, he's only getting the 170 lead from the double cooler leads. So AGL Metal Cooler is actually insane. It's kind of funny how we got the details. I think this video is going to go up when he's still not in the game yet. STR Cooler's getting his EZA, and he's like the new best EZA TUR. And then Metal Cooler's like right up there, probably in like the top 5, especially now that he has a 200% lead. Because when I made my tier list for EZAs for September, obviously like the part 2 units weren't out yet. Metal Cooler did not have a 200% lead, so his placement was based solely around using him on a 170 lead, and he was either, was he at honorable mention, or it was at like the bottom few in the top 5, right? Whereas now, I think you could probably argue that he is solidly in the top 5, with like Wicked Bloodline having a 200% lead, and then obviously Metal Cooler. The only downside, STR Cooler, the Metal Coolers aren't on transformation boost, so obviously in one enemy events, Metal Cooler, STR Cooler's not giving the Metal Coolers that 50% support. Man, I'm getting my words all confused in this run, but anyway. The run itself, pretty straightforward. The first phase against Omega is always the most annoying because he can lock your units in place and seal. And obviously some units you really want to be able to super attack first, and then some units you obviously very much do not want to put in slot 1. So honestly, phase 1 is the most difficult, and with good RNG you can beat it in 2 turns. We beat it in 3 turns, so that kind of puts us on the back foot a little bit. But I'm pretty sure we have some really good luck later on. And look at this, 8.5 million from Metal Cooler with the support from Garlic Jr. So yeah, to reiterate, that's him on a double 170 lead. And he's putting out an 8.5 million attack stat. So he still took damage from the super, even though type disadvantage to the enemy. But remember, Metal Cooler gives us a ton of healing at the end of the turn if he takes any hits. So he basically heals back pretty much all of the damage that he took. And then, of course, the actual LR Metal Cooler heals at the start of the turn. Also heals if he takes damage during the turn. So, I mean, Wicked Bloodline has just got such a huge, like, glow up in this celebration. Obviously, right? I mean, we've gotten the Goku. We got the Goku and Vegeta. Piccolo is really good as well. The Gohan and Krillin, not so much. But they're separated across multiple different teams that you'd want to run aside from the core, like, movie heroes. But the extreme side has just literally been, like, Wicked Bloodline, buff after buff. I mean, I guess you can say the same thing about movie heroes, right? Like, as much as I love the Super Saiyan 4s over the gods, just in terms of, like, design and everything, like their animations and stuff like that, like, the gods team has just been constantly getting buffs. So it's very hard to argue them over the Super Saiyan 4s anymore. But anyway, the crit from Cooler is really, really big here, because him critting on his active skill is the difference between, like, 10 million damage and then, like... Well, actually, we don't have type disadvantage in this one, so it's not as bad. But the crit obviously helps out massively, because, of course, we're trying to win within 7 turns. In fact, on this rotation, a Metal Cooler is obviously fully built up at this point. I'm not sure if he would still die to the STR Omega Super Attack, because, of course, the Revival, whilst it's useful for keeping you alive, as I was saying at the beginning about the run, like, overall, it's not the best thing for if you're trying to do it within a certain number of turns, because obviously as soon as you get the Revival, it ends the turn and you go on to the next one. But this is why, right here, this is why Cooler's team is so good for doing both of these turn restriction missions, because Cooler is just going off here, additional supers, all crits, and then, I mean, this could have literally just been a normal attack and we still would have taken him out. So Cooler can just output so much damage once he gets going that it means we can speed up in these last couple of turns. So we take the STR phase down in 2 turns. So now here we are on, should be turn 6, yep. So we literally have this turn and the next turn to be able to finish him off. Obviously at the end of the 7th turn is when he launches the crazy super attack. So, I mean, we could probably still live on this team, but of course we fail the mission attempt if we don't get it done by then. So this is a pretty good setup, because we have Golden Frieza in slot 1 to tank the hits, Cooler in slot 2, and then of course Metal Cooler does have big bad bosses. It's one of the only downsides to running like a Golden Frieza in slot 1 and then having the STR LR Cooler next to him, is obviously that Golden Frieza doesn't have big bad bosses. But the Wicked Bloodline team has a lot of units now that you can float in slot 3 that do have big bad bosses, and so then of course that kind of makes up for it. So, I mean, you can see here we got a couple of additional normals. When he started not getting additional super attacks, I was starting to get a little bit concerned, because we didn't crit, but then we get another additional, and these additionals are pumping out like 7 million attack stats as well. So we are doing quite a lot of damage. That one comes through with the crit, does 4 mil. I mean, you can see we've done a pretty decent chunk of damage. And then, of course, we have our boy Metal Cooler, who, let's not forget, is killing it on this team in this video. 7.5 million attack stat with no support. Sadly, no crit for him as well, but that is a huge amount of damage. Pretty much half of his health in the first turn. And now here we are on the final turn. We have the active skill for Cooler that we can use. I think he picks up an extra link from Garlic Jr., which is why I checked and put him in the middle, because obviously his active skill should technically do a little bit more damage, because I think is it Brutal Beatdown? I think he has one extra like attack link with Garlic Jr. that he doesn't have with STR LR Cooler. So we save the active skill for this final stage because we have type advantage. Even though we don't crit, we still do over 4.5 mil. And then, I mean, you can tell by looking at how much HP he has. Like, that's it. It's GG this turn. We got Metal Cooler in slot 1, getting his 18 key super. Him and STR Cooler link up super well, including big bad bosses. And then we have Garlic Jr. in slot 3 to give support. Now, obviously, if somehow between the 3 of them we weren't able to kill him, Garlic Jr. would be about to be getting obliterated by Omega's super attack. But, I mean, there's just no way he survives this turn. Like, Metal Cooler, solid damage from him, and then LR STR Cooler is built up enough that he is guaranteed getting one of the additional 12 key super attacks. So even without crits, we'd have had to have gotten really unlucky. But of course, he just comes through with the crit and finishes him off with the actual 18 key super. So there you go. That is Red Zone Omega beaten in 7 turns by the LR Cooler team. And remember, these runs that I'm going up in these most recent videos, this one and the Red Zone Broly no items run, these are all before STR Cooler Easy A drops, which easily makes him a better pick than units like Garlic Jr. for this team. So there you go. And no items as well. So it was both a no item run and the 7 turns. What an absolute domination by Cooler's team. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.